Welcome to Violin Adventures number 230. We're upstairs right now because the downstairs shop is under 1 inch of water. But we're going to start off the episode with finishing up our 1800's violin and playing it. Okay, it's time to hear what our 1800's violin sounds like. Well, that was the first play on this violin after it's gone through major surgery. So we're going to let it rest for a little bit and try it again tomorrow. Sounds like the volume has really come up. Okay, we've got volume now. The volume is really coming out, and the more we play it, the more it's going to loosen up its tone. Playing Shalom at the end of this episode on our 1800's beautiful old violin. Next, we move on to our Gagliano 1700's cello. Okay, I don't know about you, but I want to find out how this worked here. So let's get these clamps off. Okay, it looks pretty good. There's a little bump here that I need to take out. Okay, it looks like the sinking part is gone. Now it's up a little bit, but I'm gonna slim this down first and then see how it looks. So just took down the patch to the final thickness, and now I'm cleaning up the cleats, the old cleats, trying to get the wood off, and I'm going to spend some time seeing how much I can scrape of that glue that shouldn't be on here. And as soon as I get this cleaned up, then we'll make some new cleats and install them on this cello. Okay, still here working on our Gagliano cello top. We've had all these cleats taken out, and we found that all this was repaired with super glue. To destroy an old instrument like this, we're here to preserve them, not to destroy them. So I've been going over here and just scraping off as much as I can, and I think I almost have it all done, and then I'll find some more. And I just can't think of putting a base bar over this glue that's been, see, like right there. So I'm just going over these until I feel confident that I've got as much as I can off. But as I'm cleaning this off, I can't help but think, you wouldn't even repair a school instrument this way. Maybe if it's plywood, you could repair it with super glue, but real instruments in a real shop, in a real violin shop, you never use super glue. Okay, next we're going to go to making some cleats, and I think I'm going to use that wood that we made the patch out of. All right, we've got our drawer full of cello cleats. These are probably double in size to a violin cleat. And I make them about this thick. It goes close to that thickness. That way, when I'm fitting it to the spot on the cello, I have room to put a curve in it if I need to. For the next hour or so, I'm going to be fitting, chalking, just to make sure my cleats fit really nicely on the area that I'm planning to put them on. Okay, here I've placed the cleats where I think that it's best to put them, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looks like 6 cracks running in different places. So I'm having to put in quite a few cleats here, but this not only carries the vibrations, but it also strengthens this area. You can see how I have the grain this way and then that way, this way and that way. So we have good strength, and a couple of these are going to go over 2 cracks. All right here, this looks like a sap pocket. And what did they do? They just put some of this glue over it. So that's not the proper way to deal with a sap pocket. So what I'm going to do is dig out the sap that's in there, scrape off the glue what I can, and we'll fill a little piece of wood. We'll fit a piece of wood in there. So, okay, we're zoomed in quite a bit here. So this sap pocket looks huge, but it's not that big. And you can see the remnants of the old glue that wasn't the right kind of glue. Okay, so I'm gonna pick that out right there. So I've got the glue warmed up and I've got a real good fit on this zap pocket. And I won't know for sure until I take it down, but I'm gonna go ahead and glue this little piece of wood into where the sap was. This is just exciting, just little tiny things here and there that should really help the tone. It looks like the next thing we'll do is the bass bar, and then we'll do the sound post patch, and then we'll look at the instrument and see if we need any more cleats on it after that. Now we're working on a Hopf violin from the 1800s. Okay, we're ready to start on the next violin, which has been patiently waiting. And this is a Hopf violin. You can see it's in the early shape with the long C bouts. So, and this is going to take a full restoration. So we've got cracks. We have a crack here. Looks like we've got wood filler here. And another crack up here. The good thing is we don't have a sound post crack. We've got another crack here. So it looks like it's on the wings that we have a lot of work to do. So let's get it open and see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, it looks like this is put back together. It's been opened a few times, but it's put back together with the correct glue. It's just a little noisy because the glue is old, so I thought I would leave the camera on so you could hear it crunching. You know, it looks like a lot of these cracks were developed from the person who opened it at one time. Somebody opened it and was very rough, and you can see how it ripped the wood. It's kind of sliced it sideways as it was getting opened. So that makes it a little bit difficult not to reopen those. Okay, look at that. So you see right off that the bass bar is carved out of the top of the violin. So we want to take that out and get a proper bass bar in there. look at the repairs. So they're not put, they're just held together with these rough pieces of wood. So definitely we can improve the tone on this violin. And then we'll have to re-glue these. If we can get them open, we'll reset the cracks so that they go together nicely. So good work ahead on this violin. I can see here that the upper block is not attached to the ribs up here. And that's probably the original problem that he had, is that the block came loose. And so whoever did this, tried to glue it together. So we're going to take the neck out, get all this glue out of here, and put in, get the neck out. We'll see if it needs a new block or not. Now the lower block, we need a new block because it is broken in half here. So we'll take this lower block out and replace it with a new block. And this little end button is glued in. So I'm going to try to get that out. It shouldn't be glued in. So let's get going on this Hopf violin. So here's a close-up of our top. We're going to take all of this out. And you can see the crack isn't together very well. So we'll try to clean that out and reset it. Up here is the other crack. And then we'll take out this bass bar because it is just carved out of the top. So usually what happens is we get a crack here, and we'll get much better sound with a new bass bar. And if you see here, it's even going in the opposite angle this way instead of this way. So let's get to work. Okay, we've got our hot hide glue here, and while I was waiting for the glue to warm up, I just started scraping on that wood putty that was here, and underneath revealed some beautiful purfling. That's a good thing. There wasn't anything horrible hidden underneath there, and we got that putty off, so that's good for the violin. Now, I've had the violin under hot water, just opening up these cracks and washing out all the old glue so we can glue it back now. So we're going to start with this big crack down here, and if that goes well, then there's two cracks side by side up here, and we'll try to get those together. So you can see here that the lining is loose, or the rib is loose from the block, and is full of glue in there, which isn't holding anything. So I think the best thing to do is to take this block off and replace it with a little better quality wood. This is really wide grain, and it doesn't have very much of a good foundation here. So we'll take this off and get one that will fit this area a little better. Okay, and you can see all the glue and mess in there. When we get all the glue off and get a good fit, then that will hold. But right now it won't hold. This is just a look outside. We've had rain all night, and we've got about 3 more days of rain, so we'll see how it goes. All right, we're going to glue in the upper and lower blocks. I spent some time getting out all the old glue and making a good fit, and now it's ready to go in. So there's just 2 places where it's just a little thick. I'll take them down first. Okay, the graduations are fairly uniform now. And we have just enough clamps left over because we have so many on the cello. So I was glad to see we have enough to do this bass bar. Okay, we're gonna let this probably sit over the weekend also. We're keeping an eye on the weather. It's very stormy out there. Let's go see what it's doing. It's really raining, isn't it? The creek is pretty full. You can barely see it over there. Lots of rain. So here's the bass bar on our special Hopf Violin. Time for a short story. All right, we're reading out of Violins and Violinists by Franz Varga. And since our episode is quite long this week, I'm just going to read you the rest of the concerto that Paganini was playing. We left off after the first movement, and so I'm going to read about the second and third movement, and then we'll take up next time. After the seemingly endless applause had subsided, Paganini began to play the second movement. It was an adagio and showed the virtuoso from quite a different angle. There were none of those devilish tricks that had stunned the audience during the first movement. A sublime, angelic song of great noblesse and simplicity touched the hearts of the listeners. The melancholy melody seemed to come straight from nature, rising, as it were, high above mankind's vain schemes. The notes followed one another as though growing out of the instrument, and it seemed incredible that they were produced by striking resin-covered hair against gut strings, incredible that this wooden object was not an integral part of the man who played it, a very part of his soul. This time there was no applause. The audience sat as though paralyzed until the rhythm of a graceful rondo changed their mood. Paganini played it in sweet harmonic notes, enhanced by the sound of some silvery bell. An infinitely tender pizzicato accompanied the melody, and it finally soared away into a happy dance tune. The spell ended, and the applause began, with a vehemence never before heard in the imperial ballroom. People shouted and yelled madly. The magician was still standing on the platform, his face unmoved, his mouth twisted into a wry smile, and the glittering eyes, wearing a cunning look, seemed to be mocking the crowd of admirers for behaving so foolishly. Well, that's where we'll stop, and there's still a lot more on Paganini, which we'll continue next time. Freddie wants to chat.
Hi, I'm Freddie, and I'm hanging on to my umbrella because it's really wet outside, video to show you because the ensemble came to the shop this week and they played some beautiful songs. So here they are. Beautiful, and don't forget to send me pictures or video of your projects, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
The Hebrew Minute. Tov Hashem lema'oz bayom zara vayedea hosei bo. Lord is good. He is a stronghold or a refuge in the day of distress or trouble. And he knows those who put their trust in him. If you know where this is found, please leave it in the comments below. Well, here it is Friday afternoon, and I am upstairs because the basement is under about 1 inch of water. I'm grateful it's not more than that, but we've got a few more days of rain, so I've moved your instruments upstairs. It's wet, but it's really beautiful. Look at all those colors. Your instruments are all safe. I moved them upstairs for the weekend, and the rain should be over by Monday and we can start back work again. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your wonderful comments, for your thumbs up, and thank you to the new subscribers. And until next time, bye!